scrolling through. I'm like, seriously? Are you kidding me?
And their movie the one thing I will say about CBS All Access is their movie selection stinks.
Oh man,
There's like 8 movies. There's 8 of them.
What's the point, right?
Yeah, but we are recording. This is the episode we're discussing the season finale of Voyager for our fine friends on Patreon, and we're joined today by a very
season finale of Voyager.
I mean, the season finale of I'm all over the place. Season finale of Disco. We're joined by a very special guest. He is the game manager of Douglas and Dragons. He's in all kinds of podcasts. He's a great dude. John Bunger is joining us today. Hello, John.
Thank you so much for having me. Hello.
Of course, well, you're a huge Star Trek fan, so we figured why not have you on and cross-pollinate pods, bro.
My checkbook is DS9 checks. I'll show you pictures. It's ridiculous.
Yeah, because DS9's your jam.
It is. It's my favorite of the Star Treks. I've decided. It used to be a toss-up between that and TNG, but I've gone straight up DS9 all the way.
Slowly but surely, DS9 is coming around. I don't think it'll ever beat the nostalgia factor for me, TNG, but DS9 is fine programming.
It's quickly becoming my favorite too. So.
Nice. Oh, cool.
Well, before
we're not talking about DS9 yet, though, right?
We're talking about Disco, the season finale, bro. We talked about this a little bit on Sunday, Ben and I, with some of the Patreons, because we had a hangout after the show. But now we're talking about it, I guess, a little bit more in depth here. And Jenny, what did you think about the season finale? How'd you dig it?
I really liked it. I mean, I wasn't sure what to expect from the season finale, going into it, but I'm really excited for the next season.
Yes,
I want to see where they're gonna go with it next.
Yeah, I don't want to say they've kind of pigeonholed themselves with the ending, but they've kind of painted themselves into a corner to some extent because now expectations are going to be so high for the nostalgia of the Enterprise, because that's the last shot of season 1 is Discovery and the Enterprise staring at each other in the face. And it's like people, and if you read on Twitter, everybody's like, oh my God, the Enterprise is here. So it's like, where are you going to go from there? How's this going to work now?
Yeah. Is it going to be just a cop out? And like, are they going to just be like, well, we ran into the Enterprise and we did a thing?
Yo, you guys got some sugar? I need some sugar. I need 2 cups of sugar, baby. We're making a cake over here.
Or are they going to try to do something like they did with that Deep Space Nine episode where they go back to the Enterprise? Is that, you guys haven't gotten to that far?
The Tribbles episode where they did that? Yeah, I haven't got that far. I haven't seen that episode, but I've heard things. I've heard good things and bad things, so I don't want to say too much.
Right. Well, yeah, what do they do? But I liked it too. I did think it was a little anticlimactic. It was like the excitement factor wasn't quite there.
We were talking
wasn't a lot of movement and action.
We were talking about that a little bit on the Sunday recording. You kind of figured they weren't going to go to war, and you knew they weren't gonna. I mean, everybody kind of knew what was going to happen here. You knew that Mirror Universe Georgia was gonna fucking pull a fast one on everybody, and she was gonna try to blow up the planet. I think that was obvious. I kind of knew that going in.
Terrans are always up to shit.
Yeah, exactly. Terrans are always up to something. I told Stephanie before the episode, I said, you know what's going to happen. Georgia is going to try to blow up the ship, and then Burnham is going to have to mutiny against Georgiou. And that's exactly what happened.
Full circle.
But at least this time she was kind of mutinying for the ideals and the principles that are Starfleet, I thought, which was cool,
Yeah, there's a lot of weird stuff. Like, as much as what I really like about this show, and even like the ending, is I like the characters and the cast, and obviously the visual effects and the sets and the everything. Just, it looks amazing. There's so many weird things where I had a hard time buying in though. Like really, the Admiral and them, they're just going to let this crazy person from another universe captain their best, most powerful starship?
Well, I think
desperate.
I think she addressed that in some aspect when it was the hologram and Burnham kind of yelling at each other. It's like, hey man, this is it. Like, if we don't do this, there won't be a Starfleet to kind of adhere to it all, because they're going to wipe us off the face of the earth. If literally they're going to wipe away Earth. So it's like desperate times call for desperate measures. And I thought that was cool when Sarek at the end of the episode was kind of like, I had a role to play in this too, and I'm not super proud of what I did. But I don't know. I thought it gave I think the moment was worth it for me to see the kind of crew be like, this, we're not doing that. That's not who we are. We are Starfleet. We have our principles. We have our ideals, and this is who we are. And I think that's the one thing that people were saying was missing from the show. Like, this isn't Starfleet. This isn't Star Trek. This isn't things that they would do. And finally, at the end, you got a bit of that payoff. Like, yes, this is who we are. This is what we aspire to be, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
You know, John's a hard sell. I can tell by looking at him. He's like, "Nah, son, I ain't feeling it."
I still have some reservations about like how it came about. Like the Admiral was like, "We're doing this thing. We're gonna kill the planet, but we're gonna have this crazy person do it instead of me, instead of me just ordering somebody else to." Wait, what?
Yeah.
And then, but I love Michelle Yeoh so much.
She's wonderful.
So when they killed her off early on in this series, I was like, no, I was upset. That was
the two things I really enjoyed about the show was the fact that they let Michelle Yeoh go, so now she's just floating around the universe, and you know she's not just going to hang out on some planet doing nothing. You know she's going to be some kind of force.
Yeah, she'll become the big bad for the next season, maybe.
Which will be kind of rad. And another surprising thing was Ash. Tyler went with his Klingon friend, just left.
Yeah.
I was shocked by that. Like, that was shocking to me.
Same here. I kind of was like, all right, well, that's cool too. That they'll come back around. I still kind of was like, and with that part, with the way they ended that, it's like, okay, so you give the controls to the bomb to this Klingon, and tell her, you know, it's tied to her life signs or whatever. So now she basically holds all the Klingon Empire hostage. Basically. And now I'm going to become the leader because I'm holding you hostage. It's like, well, wouldn't they just like knock her out and keep her alive and then just like
who knows?
Put her somewhere and be
I don't think this is the be all end all of the Klingon arc here. There's definitely going to be some movement, some backstabbery, because that's the kind of the Klingon nature. But I thought it was a convenient way to get out of kind of painting yourselves into a corner with this bomb.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
That makes sense. We've been joined by Ben McCormick. Hello, Ben. Ben, meet John Bunger.
Hey, Ben.
Ben, John, Ben. John is a big DS9 fan, big Star Trek fan, and the host of the wonderful pod Douglas and Dragons, the Game Master. And Ben is Ben McCormick, resident Star Trek expert.
John, nice to meet you.
Yeah, thanks for having me on your show, man. And yeah, Bob, you don't mention heavy gigs every time.
Oh, that's right.
Douglas and Dragons.
I forget heavy gigs because I'm on it. If that makes sense, like it doesn't. I think of you as the host of the Game Master of Douglas and Dragons, but yes, I forget my own pod. Yes, I'm on another podcast called Heavy Gigs in Seaside City with Anton. He's the Game Master of that, and it's wonderful.
Yeah, Bob does a great job on that one, man.
Stop it! It's a wonderful. It's a what's the word I'm looking? It's like Pulp Fiction. It's without the feet. It's just like it's an ensemble cast. You know, it's a group of people coming together and making something magical. But yeah, John, it's cool that you're here because, like, reading your tweets online and hearing your stuff about disco, you're the only one that's not like, yeah. Because Jenny, Ben, and myself, we're very much into it, and it's nice to hear someone kind of like, yeah, you know.
Oh man, I like, again, I love all the. I really love the cast and the characters, and the setup, the visual setup. I don't mind at all the iffy where it fits in continuity stuff. It doesn't bother me at all. Ideally, I wouldn't mind changes to the Klingons. I'm like, sure, do what you gotta do, but I don't like those Klingons at all.
So have you heard the new controversy caused by the subtitles, the closed captioning?
Really? Controversy? Interesting.
Okay, so when Vok Not Vok was giving them...
is that his new name, Vok Not Vok?
Vok Not Vok.
I think it works. Vok Not Vok.
So he's giving directions and it's, you know, like, oh yeah, this one's here and this one's there. And there's an area on the map where he points to and says, yeah, there's nothing but hybrid there, and goes on and continues. Well, the CBS closed captioned it as there's nothing but hybrid, as in, a combination, a hybrid there. Netflix, which is they have all of the distribution outside of the United States. They transcribed it as high bred, as in, they come from a higher breeding.
Oh, okay.
So now it's depending on where you watched it and what, which subtitle, because a lot of people read the subtitles.
Oh, man.
I was hoping it would be high bread, like stoned bread. Like there's just a bunch of loaves of bread, just high as fuck. Just wondering, bro, what's up? Yeah, all right.
Was it was he speaking English or was he speaking Klingon? And it was
English.
Oh, okay.
Oh,
yeah,
weird.
So it was closed captioning.
So only the deaf saw this. So this is only a problem with the deaf.
And only the hard of hearing in two different if they watched it twice in two different countries.
Right.
So when the fan factions, when the deaf Star Trek fans from outside the United States meets the deaf Star Trek fans from in the United States, and they talk about that one scene, there's gonna be hell to pay.
Hands will fly.
Silently though. Yeah, so I don't know, man.
That's interesting.
Overall, as a whole, I think I enjoyed the series as a whole. I'm curious to see where we go from here, but it was definitely worth the price of admission. I mean, I paid for I called it Star Trek All Access, CBS All Access, all season, and I was happy with it.
It might as well be Star Trek All Access.
It is.
Yeah. I would like to see the numbers after this week.
Watch them go right into the toilet.
If it plummets,
oh man, yeah.
Because there's literally nothing on CBS All Access for me.
That's what I was telling these guys. I binged the whole season in a few days on a free trial, and then I was like, well, there's not one other show.
The only other show that I've watched on CBS All Access is The Odd Couple, the original Odd Couple. I watched that one with the boys, and I watched 6 episodes of it, and I was like, this is just magical.
Discussed that, the original series that's on there is the uncut original series.
Yeah, which I would like to see that
the
too.
Original effects.
Original effects.
Oh, okay.
Because I've only remember seeing the remastered one, so I would like to go back and see the string on the Enterprise and all that stuff. I think
it's not far from it.
I think it would be kind of neat.
Huh.
So.
I haven't rewatched the original series. Other than the occasional rerun I catch on TV on one of the extra like in between channels over over air broadcast. There's like the Nick at Night type stuff or whatever they call TV Land.
They have one that's called
Me TV and TV Land.
Yeah, it's on. There's one channel called Heroes and Icons. If it's on in your if it's on in your area, you should check it out because every night from 8 o'clock to midnight they run Star Trek. They run original series, TNG, DS9, Voyager, and Enterprise all back to back. And tonight is the last episode of Enterprise.
Oh man, really?
On at midnight. I've never seen it. I might watch it.
So they're going to show Terra Prime?
I guess, yeah. Because that's the way it goes. They show it in order.
All right. So the folks who actually watch Enterprise will get my reference.
What's the reference? I didn't get it.
It's kind of like how. Can you tell me just off the top of your head how many Indiana Jones movies there are?
3. 3. No, there's only 3 in my world. There's only 3.
And the last episode of Enterprise was Terra Prime.
Okay, all right. That's the one with Space Donald Trump, Peter Weller.
Yes. Yeah,
I saw that one. Yeah, I was watching some of that. They have a lot of Space Donald Trumps, if you've noticed in Star Trek, like that whole "Make Earth for Earthlings Again." That's a reoccurring.
Make the Empire glorious again.
Yeah,
that was the freaking. See, that's one thing I didn't like about I love the idea of the Mirror Universe Discovery, but I saw somebody tweeted something. There was an article that kind of articulated what I was thinking, and they were talking about how you have these characters that have to make these, like. Okay, so Captain, what's his name, Lorca, and he's like, oh, well, he's really gone off the deep end after this huge battle where he had to see his whole crew die, and now he's just like, fuck everything, I'm killing them all, anything, whatever it takes, whatever it takes to win this war. And it's like, wow, that's a really crazy, tough, moral quandary this guy is in now, even though he's from this ideal Starfleet, and it's like, what a interesting dichotomy within the fleet itself. It's like, nope, he's just a pure evil mirror universe guy. So that's just,
I think I would have preferred if he was just kind of a shady character from our universe instead of mirror universe guy.
Yeah.
So there's a little bit more conflict there.
I saw somebody tweet something about that where they were saying that if you're complaining about evil admirals in Starfleet after watching Discovery, you've not actually watched Star Trek before, have you?
That's also true. I kind of liked. It was tough though because one of the big complaints about Discovery in the beginning was, a captain of a Starfleet vessel would not act in that fashion. There'd be no way. Like, that's not what the Starfleet stands for. Blah blah blah. How could that happen? And so when they made him a mirror universe thing, it was almost like, here, be quiet. And so that's why I kind of accepted it. It's like, cool, well, he's not Starfleet. That's why he's not acting according to Starfleet kind of regulations and rules, if you will.
Yeah, but I don't mind. I mean, I think you have to have. That's one of the things that was so tough. We hear writers talk about how hard it was to write for the Next Generation is because they had to stick to this ideal Starfleet with no inner conflict. And everything had to be an exterior conflict, and it was hard because they got so many scripts and ideas that got shot down by Roddenberry. Because and it's like, well, that's really hard to create drama. Yeah. So I don't mind that if they do that. I mean, nobody's going to be perfect. People are going to wash out. People are going to buy in, and they're going to, they're not going to fit. They're going to be kicked out of Starfleet. That's going to happen.
What happened to Burnham?
Yeah, it was just like a one-time thing.
Well, nothing happened.
Her record was expunged. So now there's never been anyone who's been convicted of mutiny in Starfleet. So the continuity holds. That bridge is still there,
Yeah. Well, I think she definitely earned, in extreme circumstances, earned her place back in. I kind of don't mind as much that in the end she didn't, she paid for it. She dealt with that whole period of time paying for it, and and she definitely proved herself. So I know some people were complaining about, nothing happened to her for mutiny is just like a total cop-out. I'm like, nah, it's fine. I think she did great. I liked Burnham a lot.
So did I.
Love Tilly. Tilly's fun.
I just like the show, man. I love the Daft Punk robot dude, the robot chick. I think the whole show is just great. I like the cast. I think it's fun. I'm looking forward to season 2.
Yeah.
I
will say that I really like that when they went to Kronos and they're in this crazy what is it, the green people, what are they called again? Orion, yeah, the Orion's trading town or whatever. That was really cool. I want to see
how hot was that guy's ass when he turned around and he was all beer butt cheeks. That was amazing.
There's good looking people there. I mean, look at Michelle Yeoh, still looks good, and freaking she's in her 50s. She's wearing some leather onesie.
It was amazing, and she banged both of them.
Pretty. Yeah. She's not for you.
Yeah, she's not for you. And I love that guy's butt. Both times, because Stephanie and I watched it back to back, and he turned around. I was like, that guy's butt's ridiculous. Because he was wearing some weird G-string thing, and it was hilarious. His green butt.
and Tilly getting high was pretty great.
Yeah,
she has to explain it when she calls in. It's just okay, first, so I'm really high right now.
Oh man, and you get another Star Trek veteran cameo there in that scene too, man.
That's 4 series he's been on.
That's amazing.
So
4,
weird.
wow,
good for him.
He's kind of a Ted Cruz douchebag, but
Man, whatever. I mean, you can't. Not everybody can be perfect. And he'll probably pop up in Solo somewhere because his brother's directed it. He'll be
right. Yeah, who knows?
So, but yeah, overall, I'd probably say overall, if I'm grading, let's do a grade and then we'll get to DS9. Overall grade for Discovery, we'll start with Ben. Ben, go.
So the series as a whole?
1 to 15.
Oh, 1 to 15.
I'm saying episode 1, episode 15.
Oh okay. That was scale.
Scale of 1 to 15 is very awkward.
We do things differently.
Yeah.
I'm glad how we're doing this now. So
A to Z, bro. A to Z. Give it a score.
No, so geez, I'm going to
give
say
it 12 parsecs.
I'll give it 2 Kessel runs out of. I enjoyed it a lot, so I'm going to. There were some slow spots, but there were also, more than enough to make up for it. So it's definitely the A range for me.
All right, Jenny, what do you say?
I'm going to have to agree. It's going to be in the A range, like maybe A-, because there's some things I think could have been improved upon, but it was good. I'm really looking forward to the next season.
Guest appearance by John Bunger. What's your grade for Discovery?
Overall, I'll probably go B because, again, cast. I like the story. I like the whole set, the visuals of everything. There's just too many weird, like convenient plot issues for me to give it an A. But I still really enjoyed it and look forward for each new episode. I was very excited to hit play on the next episode every time, and I'm looking forward to the next season. I fucking hate the Klingons in this one. They have no, like, the only one that really had a lot of character was the one with the face paint. And I hated how they did the language. I know they were really super precise, and they went back and I read how they went and consulted the guy that wrote the language, and they wanted to make sure it was super everything. But then it felt like, and I went and looked this up because I was like, why is it so weird? Whereas previous things of Star Trek, they were, they played fast and loose with it, but I think that gave the actors more ability to express themselves, whereas especially the early episodes of Discovery, it sounded like they had pudding in their mouth.
Yeah.
And they had and it sounded more like they're trying to like pass a now looking back on it, it sounded to me more like they're trying to pass like a foreign language exam in school, and instead of like acting or whatever.
Yeah, it was a little stiff. It's not so much expressive, like you were saying.
I really like, though, when Ash is playing, Domjot or whatever the fuck it was he was playing. He's getting real loud and boisterous with the other Klingons.
That was cool.
It was definitely the Klingon, Klingonese, whatever we call it nowadays, was definitely flowing, and it was a very, like a natural sounding language for the first time in a lot of Star Trek.
Yeah, I wonder if they. I would be curious to see if like those early episodes were filmed first, and it just took them a while to kind of get used to it and make it more expressive. But anyway, and then with Klingons with no hair, they all. That gave each all the different Klingons so much personality, and in TNG and DS9. Like,
you love the Klingon metal hair, dude.
Just whatever, yeah, man. But anyway, besides all that, I still loved it. That was pretty great. So yeah, B for me.
Yeah, I'm going to give it an A-. I really enjoy. Hell, I'm wearing my disco shirt.
Nice.
I bought in. I loved it. I thought it was fun. It was just fun. Like, it was just a lot of fun. Especially because going into it, my expectations, I was one of those Star Trek fans who was like, you know what? I don't know how this is going to go, but I'm going to go into it with an open mind.
Yeah.
I don't know if this ship is going to fly right into a mountain, but I'm going to try to enjoy it as best as I can. And I thought it was good for what it was. I'll have higher expectations for season 2. Maybe I'd like to see some Romulans maybe in season 2. That would be Romulans?
No.
Romulans.
That would destroy everything.
All the continuity. I know.
Everything though that they've pulled me in on, they've me going into this.
Yes, you were not.
I was not a fan, and they definitely won me over by the second episode, third episode. I was hooked to this thing, and I couldn't wait for each week for it to come out. There were many times we were sitting there at 8:00 refreshing, just like,
yes, me too. Come on, where is this thing? Let's go.
I know it says 8:30, but you can give me a little something right now.
Well, they were giving you some 8:15s. They were giving you some.
Yeah, that's why I would start at 8:00. Come on.
But yeah, I'm clearly looking forward to season 2. It should be fun.
I'm disappointed that Lork is not going to be on season 2, though.
You never know. You never know what could happen. He could still be alive somewhere.
Well, that's true. You've got Mirror. Prime Lorca, whatever. We don't know for sure what happened to him.
Yeah,
it could almost be. I don't know if anybody watches Flash, but the Dr. Wells thing, when we started pulling different Dr. Wells from other universes.
So we're gonna get like wacky Lorca. With the
we could have a
Lorca.
It's like, okay, guys. Oh gosh,
Mad Max Lorca.
I will say, I just want
the fearful Lorca where he's just like, oh gosh, these Klingons. Oh, we should probably leave.
I don't know if I want to see
Klingons.
I want to see badass Lorca. Like badass Lorca was pretty amazing. He was really good.
Well, what if Prime Universe Lorca comes back and he's been through some shit, so then he is crazy and badass and has a big scar on his eye.
Yeah. You never know, dude. You never know. The world is our oyster at this point. But I was happy. I'll probably go back and binge watch it again before I cancel, and then start back up. I guess they start shooting in April, so hopefully we'll have new episodes by September, which will be cool.
Yeah.
So cool. Thank you for listening. Thank you for your patronage. We really appreciate it. Every month it means a lot. It helps out because then I don't have to pay for hosting, which is awesome. So thank you very much, and we will talk to you guys next week. Good one, Ben. I like it. Night. Hello, everyone, and welcome to a brand new episode of Dork Trek. We watch and review Star Trek. We're up to Deep Space Nine, Season 3 of Deep Space Nine, the 22nd episode to be precise. Today, we're joined by a very special guest. You may know him from Douglas and Dragons. You may know him from Heavy Gigs in Seaside City. His name is John Bunger, and he's a wonderful guy. Hello, John.
Hi.
Thanks for having me. Of course. Thanks for coming on. We've talked about doing this for a while, and one of your games got canceled, so you were able to sneak on.
Yeah, I play a game on Wednesday night at my friend's house usually, and got people going in and out of town right now this time of year, so got some free nights open. I'm super glad that you invited me to come on.
And then we're joined, too, by Ben and Jenny. Hello, Ben and Jenny.
Hello, Bob.
Hi, Bob.
Hi, Ben. Hi, Jenny. It's wonderful to see you again.
I have a background now.
I know. I like it. Look, you got a bookshelf with some books on it and stuff.
Yeah, I had one of the Patreons just like, yeah, your background's all plain and boring now. It looks like you're in some kind of institution. So,
well, I like the bookshelf. Is the bookshelf bolted to the wall? Your kids are a lot older than that, so they don't climb bookshelves.
Well, actually, no. This is just a
poster of a bookshelf.
Yeah, it's not an actual. They just complained that I didn't have anything on the wall, so I just went and had one printed out.
Maybe next week you can get like the brick, so you look like you're at like Evening at the Improv or something behind you.
I can try that. Yeah, I can.
Hey guys, all right, welcome. It's open mic night.
What I could try to do, like at the photo studios where they have the different pull downs that they have.
That'd be wonderful.
And I'll just pull down each week. I'll have a different one.
See, I was thinking about getting a green screen to put behind me, and I'll just have like cars crashing and stuff like on the Lillehammer Stanley commercials.
That'd be awesome.
Bears fighting.
That'd be really great.
Okay, if you get the Bears fighting, I will actually start subscribing to the Patreon.
Now, what kind of bears are we talking here fighting? Are we talking like grizzly bears, black bears, polar bears?
No, just big hairy men.
Even better. I think, you know what? Patreon subscription would go through the roof.
I'm subscribing now.
Yeah, too.
Hairy man, I'm in. Dennis can't make it tonight because he's a good husband. So he's spending time with his wife.
Good for him.
Or he's got school or napping. I'm gonna say school or napping. I'm not gonna. I mean, again, what do you do on a Wednesday night with two kids that are under the age of 3? Nothing. You ain't doing nothing. You know,
you give them Benadryl and put them in bed.
Does that work? I don't know.
I mean, that's what I hear.
I couldn't get him to fall asleep before we started, so he's like, "Well, I'm just like, okay, sleep on the couch." Okay.
Well, this episode of DS9 is entitled "Explorers." Explorers.
After you're too old to be a scout, then there's the Explorers. It's a different branch of the Boy Scouts. Yes. A lot of people don't know that.
Does anyone have the anybody want to do the rundown? Because I mean it's pretty straightforward, this episode. I mean there's an A story and a B story, and they're both pretty simple.
Yeah, I can try to do it from memory again.
Pretty basic after the big like crazy events of the previous episodes, like the big all the Romulans and Cardassian ships getting wiped out.
Yeah, this is what they call in the biz a decompression episode.
Yes.
Like, because everything was so tense and you had all this crazy stuff happening, and then Cisco wants to build a sailboat.
Yeah, speaking of kids, this is definitely one. It's like a good episode for dads out there.
Yeah,
oh my god, yeah.
Father-son bonding stuff.
This is the Field of Dreams episode. Space Nine.
Cats in the Cradle episode.
See you later. Can I have them, please? And the funny part is when you go to the Wikipedia page for this episode, the big news is plot Benjamin Cisco sporting a fresh goatee. So this is the first appearance of the goatee.
It's a big deal, man.
It is.
It's not the only first appearance in this episode either.
Yep.
Oh, there's more. What else is in the episode?
Well, you get to see you meet Lena for the first time too.
That's right.
Yeah.
Lena's in this episode. Okay.
And originally she was going to be the Dabo girl that Jake dated. And they were casting that part, but they were like, she is way too old to be with it. That is no.
That's right. Because
pushing the limits even for the old white dudes writing the scripts.
Yes.
Yeah.
Well, no, I mean Avery Brooks actually, who directed the Jake Gets a Girlfriend episode, was just like, yeah, that makes me uncomfortable.
You know what? That makes it even creepier that Avery Brooks directed the episode where his girlfriend gets a super hot girlfriend with giant bombs. His son gets.
It's like, hey, Dad, hook me up. Come on.
I've got you, son. No.
That sounds like a Mary Sue thing. Like if I was 16, I would want an older girlfriend with big giant titties.
A bar girl.
Yes, a bar girl nonetheless.
Yeah, she sees all these other dudes every day, but she picks me.
She picks me, a 16-year-old kid.
He's a writer.
Because writers get all the chicks.
See, now I'm starting to see the Stephen King connection, where like all the main characters in his books are writers, and you know everything happens to the writer. So now I can kind of see maybe that's just a thing that writers do. Where, you know, it's like, okay, so in this episode, Jake, the writer, hooks up with a beautiful chick from the Dabo tables, and and he is very successful, and everyone loves his stories, and even his dad thinks he's the greatest writer of all time, and his dad fucking respects him because he's a writer, and his dad says that writers are a real job because his dad loves writers.
I shouldn't have went to medical school, and I don't need to have anything to fall back on, Mom. I mean, yeah, because the Dabo girl actually hits on Brassiere, right?
Right at the beginning of the episode. It's like the first scene, right?
Yeah,
the fake cough.
Yeah, she's got the weird. Yeah, you know what that is?
I think I have a chest cold.
I think I've got herpes.
Yeah, I guess that's how you hit on doctors, right?
Yeah.
Yep. I don't know.
Oh, I don't
Turn your head and cough.
I don't feel so good, Dr. Brassiere.
So just real quick, and this goes from...
He disses her, right? Because doesn't what's-her-face cock-block him?
She absolutely does.
Yeah, and the look... Jadzia. Yeah, and the look Bashir gives her is priceless. And he puts on the tablet, go away. So here's the information you were looking for.
He only pushed 2 buttons. When he brings out the tablet, he goes deep, deep, and shows it to her, and it says go away. So he has that pre-programmed. That's like a speed text or something that he's like
waiting for months to use that.
Either that or those tablets are way more high tech than we realize, and it's like, you know, telepathically like reads the words, the neurons fire in your fingertips. I don't know.
But the thing is, though, why would Jadzia cock block him though? Because she's shown no real interest in.
She's a bitch.
Oh wow, man, that's tough language, right?
I don't want him, but nobody else can have him because that way I can continue to torment him.
Well, she was there to deliver some news that was tormenting him, regardless of whether he was hitting on somebody or not. And that's the whole B plot is his the valedictorian, and he was the runner up. Salutatorian.
But again,
she's gonna be on the station.
I mean, if that's your homegirl, right, and she knows what's up, because I mean, Jadzia. I mean, the thing about Jadzia is she's very much a tomboy. She's got that worm living inside of her. That's a 300-year-old man. She's very much a tomboy. She knows what's up. She knows what Julian's doing. Like,
why would she do that?
Yeah, what's up? I want to see the conversation that Julian has with her when he goes over to her station later. I'm like, what the fuck, lady? Like, I was trying to get my dick wet, and here you come showing up, running all up in the spot.
What you do is you walk over to her station, and she's got her Klingon coffee sitting there on the edge of the console, and you just accidentally bump it. And it's like, oh, my bad.
Yeah, but then the whole station blows up, and then, you know,
it's 9 through 12.
9 through 12 lose life support, and they will die.
It's a science station. It's not important.
That'll teach.
She basically owes him a blowjob at this point.
Get the worm ready.
Yeah.
Oh man,
because he was getting there.
He was getting there because she was amped on him, and I don't like. Julian didn't do anything.
That's why it was working, because he didn't have to start the conversation.
Yeah.
He didn't bore the shit out of her as soon as they started talking.
Do you like tennis? How do you feel about darts? I am a wonderful dart player.
I like Shakespeare.
Tell me about plays on your world. Were there any interesting playwrights that you could... No, none of that stuff. She's like, I think you're fine, doctor.
Let me tell you about preganglionic fibers.
Which he has told that story so many times before. I mean, there's been at least 3 or 4 occasions where he's mentioned it, and especially in the first season where he missed out on being valedictorian by 1.
But it's cool, though, because they just mentioned it, too, in the episode where the guy was running around in his brain that, if you would have gotten that right, you'd have been valedictorian. And now here comes the valedictorian to show up. So they kind of, that's a quick recall, which I kind of dig,
I think they kind of did that, though, just to kind of, in preparation for this episode, with this being like such a big part of it.
So just you didn't forget.
You feed it in there and it's like, oh yeah, I remember that from first season. And then 3 episodes later when it shows up as a bigger point, you're like, oh yeah, I remember that.
You know what, Ben? I'm not going to lie to you because I binged watched like 6 episodes in a row and I went, hey, I remember that. So yeah.
You feel engaged and you feel good about it.
It worked. It connected dots. It's very much like Chris Claremont, like writing X-Men. Like, I'm going to mention this here, and then 6 episodes later, it's going to pop back up, and we'll see what happens.
And Chekhov's phaser.
Yep, sure as shit. There it is. But yeah, so she tells him that the valedictorian's coming to the station, and what you gonna do? Oh no! And then Brassiere gets all weird and kind of nervous, which is
man,
good
thing his buddy Miles is there to help.
Yeah.
Oh, that definitely ramps up. But while this is all going on, though, that's when this is when Cisco comes back with the beard.
Yes.
And I think that's when we discussed, that was the beginning of the improvements on TNG. Was you grow the beard and
good things happen.
Start getting better.
So you're saying if Burnham has a beard on season 2 of Discovery, then
that's when you know it's going to get
right
good.
Through the roof. The whole cast has a beard. Everybody goes up with beards.
Well, according to Jason Isaacs, they do have goatees, just not where you would expect them.
Yes, that's true.
Yes.
I saw that on After Trek.
That's pretty good. I didn't hear that.
Talking about his pubes.
We are shaved in goatees. But no, so Cisco comes back. He's got the goatee like we mentioned. So this is the beginning of his transition back into a man called Hawk. And, this was when because that's before
Spencer Pryor, man.
Before this started, that's where I knew him from.
Yeah.
Same.
That's that was like why I was so excited when he became, Commander Cisco. Avery Brooks is this badass from, Baltimore that's going to, kick ass and take names.
I know I watched so many episodes of that show when I was a kid, and I cannot tell you the plot or story of one of them. but when DS9 first came on, I was like, it's Hawk. That's so cool. He's such a badass.
He's a badass with a big gun. He's a badass private dick with a big gun.
Yeah.
That's all you need to know. He's always there when Spencer needed him, and then he had his own spinoff.
That's white privilege, bro. Because I tell you what, Spencer was a boring dude. That's why you don't know nothing about that show. Because Spencer's just a dumb white guy.
It wasn't that good of a show.
Just a dumb white
character.
Yeah.
And somehow my grandmother and I watched it that was, and she was a huge Avery Brooks fan from the Spencer and then into the Man Called Hawk. So when Star Trek Deep Space Nine came on, they just kind of poured her back into Trek. So we were good to go then.
But yeah, so he comes back and he's got this diagram and he wants to build this ship. He wants to
buy a boat.
He wants to just build this ship, this Star Sailor that'll use.
Is this his midlife crisis?
I guess.
And where does he get all the downtime all of a sudden?
Yeah, I don't know. There's a war going on, bro. Him and Hadar are all over the place.
Well, yeah, the combined Cardassian and Romulan intelligence services and their battle fleets were just decimated in the Gamma Quadrant.
Yeah.
But yeah, let's take a few weeks off. I went down to Cardassia, had some me time.
I'm gonna weld some shit. I'm gonna weld. I'm a great welder.
Now, did he build this from scratch, or did he buy like a kit from QVC or something?
Space QVC.
They say he built it from scratch. That was the thing.
There's a whole montage. Well, let's not get ahead too much because he has.
It's pretty much a straightforward kind of ABC.
Yeah. There's that scene though because he's telling Jake about it, and Jake's like, "Oh man, my girlfriend's coming back," and Avery Brooks, he's so dejected. It's like, oh, if you don't want to go, it's like, okay, I get
That's
it.
fine. I mean,
it's fucking guilt trip big time.
Yeah, I'm just a single father that raised you after.
His goatee starts to sag.
I had a choice. Do I save your mom or do I save you? And I saved you.
I chose you.
Yeah, but no, go hang out with your girlfriend. Sure. Whatever, bro. I know you're not hitting it, so I mean, you're just wasting everybody.
Here's this Old Earth song. It's "Cats in the Cradle." Play that anytime.
Wait till I'm dead, then you'll wish you went on this adventure with me. But you're a real dickhole, and you
just
smell
like your mother.
Yeah, and I kind of hate you right now. So I'm just gonna go weld.
Get it out of a system.
And who knew he was such a strong welder? Welding seems like a very difficult task.
So, I mean, what's his deal is that, he is really into this old 20th century thing where, he loves baseball, which hasn't been played since the 2040s.
He's a hipster.
Oh, he was into welding before it was cool.
He's that. Yeah, I was way into welding before it was cool, bro. I
only use the organic materials, traditional. He's a maker. I go to the lab.
He wanted a bandsaw. He didn't want a laser cutter for that wood, right? Like, I want to use the same materials, and that's like how much time took place during that montage because he built the entire thing by himself with no help from anyone. And as a set, it is really detailed. It's not real big, but there's a ton of detail. Like him and Jake sitting in there talking, and you're like, wow, they put a lot of time and effort into this set for one episode. Yeah.
I mean, Jadzia points out, she's like, you could have made this very basic. You didn't have to do all these intricate details.
I wanted to take my time.
Well, when Jadzia was talking to Bashir at the bar in that first scene, and she told him that the Lexington was coming to town and the other doctor was on board.
Yeah, like how long did that take?
Well, she said it was they'd be arriving in 3 weeks.
So he did all that in 3 weeks?
Yeah.
Wow.
I didn't catch that. That makes sense.
I mean, that's crazy. But still 3 weeks to build a solar sail ship?
That's crazy.
That's
the Obsidian Order is no more.
Yeah, but there's got to be, his job, he's already kind of proven that his job is kind of a 24-hour-a-day thing. It's not like he can just be like, yeah, I'll be in Hangar Bay 7. I'm going to be building me a ship. It's like, what?
Maybe he's like an asshole manager, and so everybody like covers for him because they're just glad that he's not in the
Yeah, they're like super happy about it.
He's got a hobby. Thank God.
He's not weirding me out with those sex looks.
One side thing, not directly related to this episode, but speaking of Tal Shiar, I saw a weird thing today. Is Andrew Robinson's birthday, who is the actor that played Garrick.
I love Garrick.
So happy birthday, Garrick.
Slowly becoming my favorite character on the show.
Yeah. He's not even in this episode, though, at all, right?
But I miss him.
Well, he had such a big part in the last two. He probably needs, like, I need some downtime.
But you think he could have showed up, though, and, like, sewed some fucking
sails,
because he is a tailor, right? He can make some beautiful sails.
Well, I think he's busy, like, right now, rebuilding his shop.
Come on. It's 3 weeks. Who knows how long it took?
I built a boat in 3 weeks.
Yeah, you can fix your fucking stupid shop. It's like 4 walls and some fucking hangers, dickhead.
See, I would have liked this to have actually been like for the rest of the season.
Just him building this
shit. Like a thing he's working on in his free time.
That makes sense.
Because I don't know if you watched NCIS, which I've been binging the hell out of lately. From season 1.
That's on. I'm sure that's on. What's it called?
Antenna or Cozy or
it's on All Access, right? NCIS, isn't that a CBS show?
Oh yeah, it is, I guess. Sure. But it's also on Netflix, so
I'm just trying to.
There's no reason to keep.
All right, I'm just trying to get you some reasons to watch.
No reason to keep it. But one of the things is that the main character, Mark Harmon, has a boat that he's building, that he starts building in the first, he's downstairs building that in the first episode. And then throughout the season, we'd always come back and he's just a little further along on the boat every time.
Interesting.
Huh.
And so that could have been something, he could have read this. We saw his interest. And then over time, he's built this. And then this episode would have been the one where, he does the big reveal.
That would have took some foresight.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Well, I mean, to be
felt
fair,
like a filler episode.
This is the episode, though. I mean, this is the series where they first started doing stuff like that, where you had those, multi-episode arcs that really,
So you're saying that
they fucked up.
O'Brien likes darts and playing tennis. Your man likes building ships.
Yeah, that should have been the thing. And, he's in that constantly, we'll make a sailor of you yet to Jake. I'm like, just calm down with that. But I do like, though, that they intentionally kind of made this thing look like a catamaran or something from, one of those boat races or something.
Like he
had all race.
Like he
wanted. It had the windy things. And
I liked it as a set, the interior, and it did look kind of cool from the exterior too. Although the sails just looked like Odo stretched out.
Maybe
the same kind of
that. I was going to say that was his cameo,
his contribution. I can help you with your task. How, Odo? I will be your sails.
And that's we couldn't hear it because they're in space.
Yeah, no,
it's actually the sound he made.
Watch me go.
I love as it stretches out though that you have Odo's
like his face
kind of come in.
Oh god, that'd give me nightmares. I still it drives me crazy. You think like this should be the time too in the series where Odo starts to look like a human. Like he's getting the hang of it. Never 7 seasons. Spoiler alert: 7 seasons. He still looks like shit.
But they all look that way. But that's the weird part. All the founders look like Odo. It's like they have a template.
I've heard some theories, man, and none of them. I don't buy any of them. I'm like, they just should have made him look normal. Yeah. But anyway.
I don't know. And I like his voice that he chooses to use, the Odo voice, which is real like gruff and scruffy kind of sounding. Like, I like Odo. He's cool.
And Renee is such a nice guy when you meet him in person.
Oh, Renee, I had no idea you were on a first name basis with him, babe.
Yeah. When Jenny and I and Haley hung with him, for a while, and
was he nice? Was he nicer than Tuvok?
Oh, absolutely.
Oh, drew a picture of a bucket for me.
I know, which is really fun.
Tuvok's a dick.
Kinda. I don't know if he's a dick.
He was in a Deep Space Nine episode as a like a renegade.
Yeah. It was in the Mirror Universe episode that we talked about.
But that's how they get him in. But he's in what's it called in the same capacity in Voyager. He's a spy on a Maquis ship.
Yeah.
So I mean, kind of the same capacity, I guess. In some
but then there's the episode of TNG where they have to do that sweep of the ship.
Yeah.
And everybody has to evacuate down to the planet, and then the terrorists try to steal the trilithium. Yeah. He's one of the terrorists.
Yeah, it's Die Hard.
Yep. Die Hard in space.
And I can't tell you, John, that Tuvok is a dick. We were in line and behind him at Starbucks at a Star Trek convention, and he was just a dick to the barista.
No. Oh, but I mean, how you treat the help.
Yes,
this is exactly what I was going to say. How you treat service industry people.
See, I've always tried to show the greatest respect for waitstaff, and Jenny can attest to that. I'm always very compassionate and understanding.
Yes.
Especially when they make mistakes. I know everyone's human.
You know what? It's just food, man. It's just food. It's just food. That's
until they bring the wrong syrup.
One of my first managers at a restaurant. Jenny shaking her head no. Ben's a hard he's a hard sell at the restaurant.
A little bit.
Really?
Yeah.
I think this is one of the first times that Haley was inspired to do artwork based on one of my tantrums.
I have a comic around here somewhere. I'll see if I can find it.
Oh, man.
I would love to see it.
Scribbled on a napkin. It's amazing. But he always tips well. So
well, you have to tipping well is nice, but if you're a total dick the whole time, money doesn't make it better.
Not really.
No.
The way I tip, yeah, you're like, man, that guy was an asshole, but he tips nice.
So
it helps, but
you're basically.
I was a bartender for a long time, and then
no, my bartenders, that's a whole nother story. Bartenders, you treat like the gods that they are. I mean. You keep the bartender happy, and that way they keep. Hey, buddy, you need another one? Absolutely.
That's why I've been watching a lot of comedians in cars getting coffee.
I love that show.
Oh my God.
It's so wonderful. Like, it's such a good I'm fascinated by it. Like, that was one of my favorite things doing commercial radio was the local comedy club would come up and they would bring comedians, and talking to comedians is so much fun because they have such an interesting kind of perspective on life. But like, I like to see who is nice to the servers. When I watch the show, I don't know why.
They've had that discussion on the show a few times. Like, Jerry will tell him, like, you need to leave more because you're a celebrity. Like, how is it going to look when two of us come out to this coffee shop and we don't leave like a ridiculous tip? You have to leave a celebrity tip.
Yeah, I remember him using that term a couple of times where he's
celebrity
like,
tip.
And I tipped. And he's like, "What did you celebrity tip?" He's like, "Yeah, celebrity tip."
Him and Larry David had a great conversation about the Jews. Was like, you don't want to be a cheap Jew, but then you don't want to tip too much because then you don't want them to think that all Jews are rich. So there's like a Jew. I just thought that was
Larry David. It's fucking great.
Yeah, just that episode alone was just worth it. Just to watch the two of them just kind of hang out. Because
I'm kind of building up to that one. I can't remember the last one that Jenny and I watched.
I can't remember.
It was after the Jim Carrey,
Jim
it was
Carrey's
after.
He's a weird.
We binged like 25 episodes over the snow holiday.
There's that many of them.
Oh, there's a lot of them.
Yeah, we watched a lot. So
my favorite, though, I think, is so far is the Obama episode.
The Obama episode's good. I really like the Letterman episode.
That was a good one.
I like the Letterman episode. I really enjoyed the Chris Rock episode. Larry David was good.
I don't think I've seen Chris Rock yet.
Chris Rock was pretty good.
Chris Rock was.
That's the one I slept through.
Yeah, they got pulled over, and he's like, "If I was with anyone else, I'd be really nervous right now."
Oh man!
I watched the Louis C.K. episode.
Yep.
It was weird.
Yeah. Knowing certain context, like you watch them, you're like, oh, okay.
See, it wasn't the same for me. Like when I went back, and some people had said, well, if you're a Woody Allen fan and you watch stuff that you grew up with, it's not as weird as if you watch something he does new. But I went back, and Hannah and her sisters was on, and I tried to watch it.
Such a great film.
Well, yeah, but that's the thing is in one of the scenes at Thanksgiving, there's his nieces and nephews or the kids come in. One of the kids that's like a little kid is Sun Yi. And as soon as she walked in, I'm like, I'm out. It's just like, nope, you're dead to me forever, Woody. You're a piece of shit. And God damn you for taking that comedy away from me.
Right.
So his stand-up back in the 60s was great. But anyway, so when I watched the Louis C.K. episode, I'm thinking, oh, God damn, am I going to have that same kind of like, And it wasn't the same because, one thing, he didn't rape children. So that's a plus.
But the thing
he didn't touch anybody. I mean, God knows the times I've jerked in front of somebody. They don't always know it, but.
The thing about Louis C.K. I think that gets me is like his deviancy on stage was always kind of portrayed that way, but then like his show was all about like the sentimentality of him being a father with his two girls, and then he tells the story about being on the boat with his two kids, and you're like, oh, Louis that's an act, and Louis just a dad. Like he's just a good dad trying to get through the day.
Well, see, that's the thing though, is that good dads go to chicks' houses and masturbate on their patio.
No, it's not the same. I felt weird.
You can still be a good dad and masturbate.
Not in front of, not making people.
I think Bashir masturbates in front of people.
Oh, totally.
On the holodeck, he does. Yeah.
He masturbates in front of O'Brien, who's like, "Come on, keep going. Yeah, I want to watch.
Keep going, Keiko. I mean,
so and so that's the cool thing is
put on this kimono. Yeah, that's hot.
when the ship gets there and the valedictorian arrives.
Oh, I felt so bad for him. So I felt so.
He's ready to confront, and he gets all, puffed up and stuff, and he stands up as she walks over toward him. and she just walks right past him.
I felt so bad for her.
Yeah, I think even more. I think he was just like, okay, I'll bite the bullet, pay respect, and be cool. And then nope, doesn't even look his way.
I felt like I was watching like an 80s movie, and like he was gonna go talk to the hot chick, and she just blew right by him, and I was like, oh.
That hurt on like lots of levels,
didn't it? In a weird way, because the weird part is Brassiere is kind of he's kind of unlikable in some.
Do you call him Brassiere on purpose?
Sometimes I call him all kinds of weird things. Brassiere. I'm not good with pronunciations, Julian. Brassiere.
There's only an R at the end.
Brassiere. Brassiere. He's kind of unlikable. He's kind of weird sometimes, but I really felt for him right there. I felt like he was like fucking in Pretty in Pink, like he was what's his name's character, John Cryer's character, just getting straight dissed.
Well, they know it though. Like they even say, Miles even says so in this episode. He goes, "People either love you or they hate you."
Yeah, and
that's true. Into like one of the greatest scenes I think in DS9 so far was after that happens that they go back to Miles's place and they just get drunk off their ass with real booze too, not sin.
Yeah.
And then they have sex.
Well, I mean that's the implication because he's like, like John was saying when Miles says, you're not an in-betweener. Everybody either loves you or hates you. I mean, even I hated you, but I hate you. And he's like, and now? And he's just got real stone sober, and he's like,
and now?
No, I don't.
Now I hate fuck you.
Oh, my God. Now, open up.
This is so awkward, Miles.
It is awkward. It is awkward.
Is Keiko coming home anytime soon because I really want your Irish dick?
Oh, my God. Let's do it.
It's like, what? It's not even Thursday.
They have a real love for each other.
I love that this is the Valentines recording because
it's like
that was the true romance.
Love was in the air. Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Oh my God, I want to see
Cisco with his boat and Miles and Bashir.
I need artwork right now of Bashir and Miles Valentine's Day card.
It's around.
It's on there. Just be careful. Make sure your safe search is off. Stuff.
Apparently, there's a lot of homoerotic Deep Space Nine fanfic.
Oh, yeah. Usually it's Bashir and Garrick, though. Yeah, there's a lot more of the Bashir Garrick stuff and loving him only the way a Cardassian can. And but there is a goodly amount of the O'Brien Bashir. I mean, not that I've looked for it. I'm just saying.
Not that I've
come across
written it.
Just the two, and they didn't sell that well. So
they were panned by the critics. But what do critics know?
In the fan fiction community, they were just they tore them apart.
But that's a hell of a love triangle, man.
I would watch that.
I want to see the fight that Garrick and Miles have
over Julian.
Over Julian.
And maybe what's her face pops in too. Maybe Chase Masterson shows up and she's like, "He's mine," and they have like a Paul McCartney, Michael Jackson, "The Doggone Girl Is Mine" moment.
I'm still kind of sore at.
Miles, I'm a fighter, not a lover. I would love to see that.
Yeah, I'm not a big fan of Chase Masterson. After she was rude to me on Twitter.
She's not nice. I've seen her at two cons, and she doesn't come off.
It's she said the reason I didn't like Discovery was I don't like diversity. And,
Jesus!
And my dick was going to fall off because there's a woman captain, and she can suck it.
Wow. Weird. So I was going to say, well, maybe she's not cool at cons because you can only imagine the shit she puts up with.
Well, I mean,
coming up to her, but
there is a certain demographic of men in I guess in their 40s and 50s now who I can guarantee you masturbated to Chase Masterson a lot in the 90s. And
give me like 20 minutes after the recording, I may. Whatever, bro. I mean, that's my life.
Challenge.
Yeah, that's how I live. I can't help it. Who are you to judge? Who are you?
Now I feel really awkward about this Garrick artwork I bought, but
but she just Because I understand that you go to shows and they're long and they've got to be boring and you just do it to make it, but you can at least like act interested. And I wasn't even interested in meeting her. I was like, "Who's that?" And they're like, "Oh, that's so and so from Deep Space Nine." I was like, "Oh, that's cool." Whatever.
What's a Deep Space Nine?
Yeah, why? Because I haven't been watching Deep Space Nine at the time, so I wasn't really super into it. But I was like, "Oh, okay," and she was just kind of like,
Yeah, you hit that. You're in that age group, so she's just like, "Oh, it's another one."
It is.
Yeah. Now, if you were like a 13 or a 12 or 13-year-old boy, she would, you're still young enough that she would, probably be nice to you.
Chase Masterson. What up, Chase? But yeah, so where are we in this episode? Yeah, so they're building the ship, and they go out on the ship. They finally decide they're out there. They built the ship. They're going. They want to go the exact route. They're doing all the pulling of the strings and fucking tying shit up and all kinds of wonderful things. And then they hit
before they do all that, they're bonding.
That's right. They are bonding.
I think it's like 3 times in this episode where they're bonding and they're talking about something and it gets interrupted with something happens.
Yeah, something tragic.
Did I ever tell you how I met your mother in a smoky bar? And
what was that?
Oh my god, we lost a sail. Oh my god, we hit a fucking.
She had the nicest.
No, so anyway, I'm rock hard, and she starts to go. Hold on.
And I guess we learned too that this is where Jake's writing. He tells his old man, he's like, "Look, I got this fellowship of the rings in New Zealand." And I gotta go with fucking Frodo and Bilbo and fucking all these cats. We gotta drop this ring into Mount Doom, baby. I got to go, Dad.
Man, you mean the writer character's a really talented writer?
Yeah, he's a great writer.
Got a fellowship at the Pennington School.
He's got a fellowship in a ring, son.
And see, what the cool thing is, my best friend Jay from high school and I locked in on is that he was trying to go to the Pennington School, and our high school was Pennington. So it's like, oh yeah, I'm a Pennington graduate, and all these books I didn't write are evident.
Well, it's a poster though.
Yeah, so it makes me look smarter.
Yeah, that's just one book. That's just really long. It's a really long book. It's like Batman's bookshelf. It's not real. There's no books.
That's how I get to the shuttlecraft to get out of here.
That's how you get to your sailboat that you're building.
Yeah, so I turn off the Green Lantern symbol, and the shelf slides over, and I'm like, off I go.
There's some nice bonding moments here. They have some fun, and
he reads his story, does a nice critique.
I think it was good.
Yeah, I like the little joke about the Maquis.
Yeah, that was legit funny.
Yeah, I can't talk about that, Dad.
They just like
it is awkward,
critical with him, and he's like, you can't write about this stuff because you haven't lived and experienced.
Like this, railing a Dabo girl in the bar after it closes. I mean, how can you write
that?
Never.
That was my first thought. First time I saw it, he's like, "Well, at least I hope you haven't done some of this stuff." I was like, "Oh shit, what was he writing about?"
Yeah,
there I was at a Thai whorehouse.
And there's another thing where he's like, Ray when he hands it to him, he goes, "Oh, so this is why I've been hiding it every time I walk in the room." I'm like,
no, that was the porn.
No,
that was Dabo girl porn.
Yeah. I mean, whatever, Dad. We all have our hobbies. You're building ships. I'm masturbating to weird porn. I mean, we'll live and live, right?
They cut the first scene where Jake walks through Quarks and says to Lena, "Haven't I seen you somewhere before?" And then she hits on Bashir.
Yo, baby, what's up? Did your friend tell you about me? Yeah, that's right. I'm the make-out king of Deep Space Nine.
I was on the Star Trek subreddit this week because of the Discovery finale, and they were talking about clothing and how there's never been a really good grasp on civilian clothing, and their whole thing was like, well, every now and again they'll hit something pretty decent, like Riker's outfits or Picard sometimes, but for the most part, it's like it's hit or miss. But for kids' clothes, it's always just a train wreck. And then there were several examples from Jake where it's just like these unitards that are just horrible.
Yeah.
And it's like, that's exactly what I want to wear when I'm a 14-year-old boy surrounded by beautiful women. is a skin tight onesie that
Yeah.
Yeah.
Shows your lack of muscle development. Yeah.
And
Well, and then accidentally.
Well, man, Cisco had some Cisco had some pretty sweet duds on too, man. His engineering pajamas. It was like one sleeve was a different color than the other, and then it was like a robe, but it went in tucked in. It was like a belt. Fuck.
Yeah, clothes in the future suck. Like, future clothes are not good. And it's weird how they could change so much. Like, yeah, sleeves don't need to match, and this could be a robe, half tucked in thing. Yeah, sure, whatever. Just go with it. Yeah.
No, the guy that you want to watch for the clothing styles, though, the guy who's always fashionable. Once again, Garrick.
Yeah. I mean, I will say the one thing about Garrick is he uses a lot of weird patterns. Like, it's a lot of, like, it's a weird pattern and then solids on top of, like, yeah. Quark dresses like Michael Irvin circa, like, 1997. Like, they have very similar kind of styles. You know? He's definitely picking the Steve Harvey collection. Yes. Mustard, please. Yes. Mustard.
Yeah. What's his name? Westbrook from Oklahoma City.
Yeah.
Those same outfits are pretty.
But they finally end up getting there after they hit a
tachyon eddy,
which is, I guess, apparently it's like a natural warp.
Tachyons are the only thing that we know of in nature that travel faster than the speed of light, supposedly.
Okay.
Or theoretically, they do.
So it's kind of like they hit a jet stream.
Yeah, except it's a faster than light jet stream.
Okay. Mm-hmm. And then lo and behold, boom, they ended up in Cardassian space. There they are.
And the Cardassians were there to welcome them.
I was a little disappointed the first time I saw this episode because Golda Kott comes and talks to him before they even take off.
Yeah.
Or sends him a message. And it's kind of threatening. And I was just kind of waiting for some point on their trip for the Cardassians somehow are going to like sabotage them, and then they got to do something smart to get away from them or something. There was a little bit like a chance for some serious drama there that I think they missed out on.
Yeah, but I don't think they were going for that. This is clearly like, this is decompression. Jake and his dad
character building.
Yeah, that's all that is. That's all this episode is, and it works. I mean, this is father and son doing father and son stuff together. See you later. Can I have them, please? Cats in the Cradle. Because after this, I guess Jake's going to go away to the Fellowship, and then we might not see him as much. Who knows? I don't know. That's kind of the way they leave it open. So it's just a nice father-son moment. It is. This is Field of Dreams on a boat in space.
Yeah.
Space boat.
Now, meanwhile,
though, is that the title of this episode?
Yes.
Field of Dreams on a boat in space.
Yes, that's the name of the episode. It's Explorers: Field of Dreams on a boat in space.
In space.
See, back on the
with
station,
weird clothes.
You got Bashir dealing with the whole anxiety thing. So he finally talks to
his lady friend,
the valedictorian doctor.
It appears that like he's got somewhat of a crush on her, almost like there's some kind of romantic interest as well as like
that's because she's a female.
Yeah,
and that's all that's required for Bashir.
Although I will say at one point where Quark's like, "You didn't tell me she was beautiful too," and then I'm like, "But her hair." She looks so dumb.
Yeah. She's a butter hair.
Butter hair.
What a butter hair.
It's like a bad perm or something. Yeah.
I mean, you can't have it all. I mean, you can't be, valedictorian of Starfleet Medical, get the hottest fucking gig in Starfleet and have sweet hair, dude. It just doesn't work that way. You can't have it all.
That's the thing is when they went back.
Really that haircut.
We didn't see when they went back to the infirmary to talk about his research because I guess all these years she thought Bashir was an Andorian.
Yeah,
oh no, that was my friend.
It is a really terrible haircut. I mean, look at that thing.
No. See, when they went back to the,
looks like she works at a soup kitchen or something.
They went back to the infirmary and she pulls off the hairnet and she does the little thing like that.
Oh man,
it flows out like because that's the '80s. Movie part of it. The John Hughes film kicks in.
Yeah. The deleted Triple X scenes.
Forget about me. Don't you. Yep. And then they have space kissing.
Yeah.
Where then it fades. in the credits, and then Molly Ringwald shows up. Yeah, we know what happens. Julian walks off on the football field and goes, yeah.
And then he says in program, and then he's just standing there on the holodeck, and
he's like, oh yeah, I should probably get back to work. I got some real shit going on. Don't you? But yeah,
Court's voice is coming over. The music stops. He's like, "All right, Julian, your hour's up."
Yeah. Make sure you clean up in there too, pervert.
Here's some hot rags.
Yeah, here's some bleach. Have a good time.
See, I'm telling you though, you don't understand
some space Clorox.
I've tried to explain this on the show many times. All of that gets taken care of by the holodeck.
Yeah, it cleans it by itself.
It beams it right back into the matter reclamation units. And,
somebody has it in their Actigino.
Yeah, then it ends up in your food.
Could be, yeah. Or it could be the next chick that you're with in the holosuite.
It's in Cisco's coffee. This just tastes weird.
This works.
This tastes like Valedictorian.
This coffee is salty.
Well, it's Klingon coffee, so that's normal.
Yeah. So, overall, what'd you think of the episode? Let's start with Ben. Ben?
Well, this actually is one of my favorite episodes of DS9.
Really?
And I talked about this on the other podcast.
What the fuck are you doing on
cheating on us?
Podcast?
Well, no, this was years ago, though, back when we were like in season 3 or 4 of TNG.
Nah.
They
on
invited me over.
On Valentine's Day, you break all of our protective hearts.
Well, you know what? They respect.
I have no skin in this. That's cool.
They respect.
Shut up, John. Shut up.
They. So yeah, we talked about this, and this was when I watched it for that podcast. It was the first time I really.
Let's not talk about that. All right.
Well, no, but it's the first time I watched DS9 in a long time, and I realized this episode is the one that made me realize that you have to watch Star Trek Deep Space Nine twice, because when I first watched it when I was young, you know, I'm in my 20s. I've been on the farm my whole life. I've had a grocery store job. That was it. I was Smallville.
I love Jenny's face right now. It's so wonderful. She's just like, oh my God.
But then when I, watched this again, it was 20 years later, and I've had sons. I've done time in the military. The world is different now. Mm-hmm. 9/11 has happened.
Wow, you got 9/11 vibes from this episode?
I completely forgot about that.
Well, not from this episode, but from the series.
Okay,
and
all right.
So that's
I had no idea they flew their ship into buildings. That's crazy, man.
Well, that's next week.
Okay,
but
Season 4, man.
Take that, Cardassians.
Well, how do you think they landed? But solar cells don't melt steel beams.
Oh. I was going to go with that lithium crystals.
Well, no, this was an all-natural ship.
This is an all-natural ship, baby.
But that was the thing, though, is that it really changed how I watched this episode, having that 20 years of life in between, then and now. Mm-hmm. And it was one of those things where it made me then go back and start rewatching Deep Space Nine, in total.
Okay.
And so this is that episode. So it has a lot of anchor memories for me, for bringing me back into Deep Space Nine and changing my complete opinion. It went from being like, it's Deep Space Nine, to, oh my God, this is my favorite Star Trek series.
All right. So what's the rating on the episode then?
This episode gets a strong 8 from me.
Strong 8? That's like 3 8s in a row.
Yeah. There's some good episodes, and it's just getting better. I mean, I love that we're not going to have to wait a long time for this writing thing to pay off. It comes back really – I thought it was a lot later, but I scanned ahead, and I'm like, oh, shit, that pays off like just a few episodes down the road.
All right. Now, what about you, Jenny? What do you say?
To me, this was kind of just an episode, but it was a good filler episode. It was really well written. It was good character building. So I think I'm going to give it a 6.5.
All right, I'm going to agree with Jenny. I'm going to also say a 6.5. What about you, John Bunger, special guest?
Oh, I'm probably closer to the 8. I'll say a 7.5. For it does. If you watched it on its own, maybe without watching the episodes in order, perhaps. I don't know why anyone would do that. It wouldn't be quite as good, but it does the job. Like I said, it's a decompression episode, and it does it is a lot different for me now than when I've watched the series previously because, you know, I have a 4-year-old now. So I just imagine him growing up. It's just me and him. So it's like the whole Cisco and his son thing is like real strong to me, man. So actually, yeah, it's higher up there. I really was laughing and smiling as I was watching it, you know. So I put it up there at 8.
All right.
I'm not familiar with your rating system. I'm guessing it's out of 10.
We do 1 to 9. 1 to 9.
Out of 9? Oh, okay.
Because Deep Space Nine.
Oh, yeah. All right.
1 to 9. Now, let me ask you this question. This is going to sound really stupid, and I know we're done with the episode, but how did the Bajorans get the ship into space? Like, how did that?
Yeah, I wondered that a little bit too.
How did that happen?
Slingshot.
Like, how did they go from? Yeah, like how did they go
Catapult.
from? Yeah, it was
Actually, a trebuchet.
Space elevator.
Yeah, because that's the whole time I'm watching this, I'm going, this is cool, and I get how Cisco is going to get the ship into space because he's already there. But how are you going to get this vessel from the surface of the planet to outer space? Because I imagine that has to be really far. Like, right?
Well, it's 60 or 70 miles.
All right, that's it. I mean, I'm just saying that's quite a ways.
You know, here's the thing: you're driving highway speed. It takes you an hour to get to space. It's not that hard.
So, I mean, is it on a rocket? Like,
however, breaking the
like that's like, how is that going to happen? That's my only question.
Escape velocity is another issue.
Yeah, I was gonna.
Like
that's the term I was trying to come up with.
The thing. Okay.
Like, I don't want to ruin the episode because I enjoyed it as well. 6.5 for me is pretty good.
So think of the surface of the planet
as a rubber duck. Okay.
Yeah, this is a duck, and so the curvature of the duck is the surface of the planet.
It's flat.
And normally we drive around the planet like this, and so the way that you get into space is that you start driving, but instead of following the curve, you just keep going straight, and then you're in space.
That's fine.
Oh, it's so easy.
But how does that happen? Like, how do you do that?
You just Bob, stop with the questions.
All right. If anybody wants to answer that question on Twitter, feel free. Like, how do you get a ship with sails into space and through the atmosphere and the radiation field that I'm sure is around? How does that happen? But
the answer is clearly space ducks.
Yeah.
Boom. Yeah. You know what?
Flock of ducks.
Works for me. There you go. There you go, everybody. Well, John, thank you for coming on. Listen to Heavy Gigs in Seaside City. Listen to Douglas and Dragons. It's fantastic. Hey, you want to do me a favor and give me a little taste of that dragon voice you were doing the other day in episode 1?
I can't remember the voices I do for the characters even like halfway through the episodes.
It was good. I really liked it. It was very much like, I am a dragon. Like, yeah, I thought it was good, man. I dug it. That's part of the reason why I listen to Douglas and Dragons. I just love all the strange voice acting, and you never know what song Alan, who's New Mutant on Twitter, is going to burst into. He just bursts into song, and it's amazing
all the time.
It's so he just sings. Just sings.
He should be a bard.
He should be a bard.
He's a wizard. He does it out of character. It's out of character singing.
Yes. But he did play a bard in the Shadow Realm, and then he just kept singing, like, Katy Perry songs. I think he sang, like, Firework at least 9 times. It was awesome.
Which ties into this episode.
Yeah, he's wonderful. It's a great pod.
Yes, because we didn't talk about the fireworks. Because
that's right.
Goldacot's like, reluctantly, here's what the government wants me to read. Congratulations. Fuck you, Cisco. I mean, good job, Cisco.
They tried to shoot him out.
Here's some fireworks. Boom. Oh, by the way, we found a crash site. Just happened today.
Yeah.
That proves that you're right.
Yeah. The fireworks are really there to try to shoot him out of the sky. We know.
Yeah, we're hoping the solar cells catch fire.
Left, shoot left, more left. Shit.
Yeah, he's like bumping the
technology. More left.
So I just wonder why is that like standard Cardassian payload is to have space fireworks?
Yeah, why not? Everybody, you know what? Everybody loves space fireworks. You know.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I just don't think of the Cardassians as being fireworks people. They don't give that like if.
Maybe they have like it's tied to Bajorans and they shoot them into space and they explode and that's why they're like, whoa, that's cool. Look at that.
Yeah, maybe that's like the secret we don't know. Like when during the occupation, one of the horrible things they did to Bajorans was shoot them into space on giant fireworks.
Watch them blow up.
And so they're like, Hey, you did it, Bjorn's here. Fireworks. Oh, wait. Ooh, is that bad taste? I'm so sorry. Celebrate.
Yeah, we're just celebrating blowing up a bunch of your friends.
And oddly enough, they do play Katy Perry's Fireworks the whole time.
Everybody loves it, especially Al. Because, baby, you're a firework. So, thank you for listening to Dork Trek. John, thank you for coming on. Ben and Jenny,
thanks again for having me.
Of course, anytime. Anytime you're not playing Pathfinder, you're more than welcome. And Ben and Jenny, it's always a pleasure to have you.
Thank you. Thank you.
All right, and we will talk to you guys next week. Thank you, and have a nice day.